Yo, what's up? It's Moneybags Rich, also known as Mastermind Rich. I'm here on the How You Holdin' Up podcast. And listen, my guy BrooklynBoon in the building. We talked about some amazing topics, mindset, understanding yourself, understanding what change really means, and how aligning your vision with God's vision and making sure that you understand how both mesh and understand each other. Make sure you tune in. It was an amazing episode. Tap in for more.
I said it twice, I hope you got it. I won't say it again. Talk to him. I got a podcast for that. Wanna talk business? I got contracts for that. Hey, 99 problems, got one answer for that. God, it's gonna work out. I drop gems just for that. Yeah, talk to him. I got a podcast for that.
On today's episode of How You Holdin' Up the Podcast, we have U.S. Marine Corps veteran, music manager and songwriter, owner and founder of Attractivemindset Network and Attractive Mindset Studio, which is actually where we're filming this episode. Thank you for having us. He is also a business analyst, Moneybags Rich to some, and Mastermind Rich to others. Let's talk. Now, before we continue, right, tell us about the dual roles of your name. You got Mastermind Rich and you got Moneybags Rich.
Yeah, it's like the duality, you know. I don't know who was watching in the audience, but if you remember when Floyd Mayweather first came out, he used to have Pretty Boy Floyd, and he was more focused on the women and, you know, just being that kind of guy. And he was like, I'm not making no money, you know, and so he turned into Money Mayweather. Okay. And then that's when he really started to take over the empire of his business. But it's the same thing in my duality. You know, I studied psychology in college. And then I started making more than my professors, and so I dropped out. But, you know, always have love for the mind, the mindset. Mindset shifts everything that you do, everything that you build, everything that you grow. And then, of course, Moneybags Rich, you know, rich is, I don't know if it's the right word, an alliteration towards just life. It's not necessarily money. That's what the money bag is for. But rich, you know, is just rich in health, rich in prosperity, rich in emotions, rich in life, rich in money, just rich in general. Being a rich individual is just the goal. Okay,
so that's the wealth aspect of it. Okay, beautiful. And I love the entirety of it. And it's synonymous to, like, so for me, BrooklynBoon, right? Brooklyn is the past and Boon is the present and the future, right? So I can look at Brooklyn, get inspiration of what was, and I can focus to help build what is, right? Facts. So it's the cause and effect. So Brooklyn is cause, Boon is the effect. Right, so I definitely understand where you're coming from, and that's dope. I like that. I dig that. Now, I do want to pay homage to you, man, and say thank you, not only for allowing this conversation to take place, but also for your service, right, with the U.S. military, and not only that, but for being one of the 4 judges at my most recent showcase.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. It was a humbling experience to have your expertise in the building, man. Now, before we dive into the thick of the conversation, right? I want to ask you, how do you critique artists? How did you critique the artist performances for any artist who wants to improve their craft?
So I critique it. You know, critiques, in my opinion, should have more element of truth than fluff to it. I feel like we live in a society where a lot of people don't want to hurt people's feelings. And the goal isn't to hurt somebody's feelings. The goal is to be truthful with them because they get to make one of 2 choices. You either keep going or you stop right there. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're letting a judge who is supposed to judge you, you know, make you feel bad or end your career or whatever, then it's not the right industry for you to begin with, because your fans, the comments, the trolls online, what they leave under your post is going to be way worse than whatever a judge is saying to you. And so when I critiqued, you know, the people, what I was looking for was everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just about the song anymore. You know, being able to blend, and that's what my brand is, Attractive Mindset. If you see my logo, there's an orange side of the brain and then there's a blue side of the brain. That's creativity and logistics working together. And so you can't just be the upfront version of yourself as an artist and not worry about the back end. And even when you're performing, that matters. The logistics of it matters. And so, yeah, your song sounds good. Yeah, you got stage presence. Yeah, your beat is amazing. Your producer did his thing, or maybe you are the producer, whoever, what. But on stage, are you talking to the crowd? Do you have lyrics that are memorable for the crowd? Are you performing the right song for the crowd? You know, are you catering stuff towards the judge? This is a competition at the end of the day.
Yes,
like
sir.
you're
Yes,
trying
sir.
to win, and so that's the logistical side of it. And so we're looking for everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. That is, I don't want to say impressive, although it is impressive, but that's necessary, especially for someone who's been in the music industry for how long?
It's been maybe like 7-8 years.
7-8 years, man. 7-8 years is a long time to do anything. So to have that much consistency and dedication and investment into an industry such as the music industry is very, very impressive, man. How'd you actually get started in the music industry?
It actually started in church.
Okay.
You know,
that's where it all started.
Yeah.
Man.
I grew
Praise
up
God.
7-day Adventist with the choir. You know, my mom's side of the family, 7-day Adventist, and so Friday nights, no going out, no nothing, you know, no tattoos, no piercings back in the day, no nothing, none of that. Like, you know, Saturday until sundown, like, you know, you had to just lock in. And so that entire side of my family is singers. And so I grew up singing. And, you know, my mom wanted to get out of the hood so bad. We were in Brooklyn, Prospect, right under the shuttle.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? And so she wanted to get us out of the hood. And later on, she ended up moving us to Long Island. But what she didn't understand about Long Island was everybody's parents tried to do the same thing.
Yes, sir.
And so it turned into a suburban hood out there the same way. And so, you know, just being surrounded by music at an early age, being in church, understanding the altos, the sopranos, the tenors, the difference, you know, learning how to sing with other people, not just by yourself, learning how to, you know, just understand where music really came from, what that feeling is that you feel, like the harmonies, the breakdowns. Like when you learn that in church, that takes your career to an entirely different level.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, my mom added to that further because she didn't want to listen to any rap. She didn't want me listening to any rap. She didn't want me listening to any hip hop.
Right.
She didn't want me listening to any of that. And so she chose more pop things. She chose more Broadway things. And so a part of my life that most people don't know is I grew up in the arts, you know, because that's what she wanted to do. And so she signed me up for stuff like Lion King on Broadway, and I actually got second place. And so I would go backstage a couple of times, and I'd be waiting on Broadway in Manhattan. You know, if the dude who played Simba got sick, I was the next person in line. She put me on a couple PSA commercials, Oliver Twist, Little Shop of Horrors, like all the Broadway stuff. Like, and here's me, a kid who's fighting duality at an early age because outside, I'm one version of myself to my friends because I'm in the hood, but inside, I'm this version of myself. And, you know, I didn't like it at first, and I started to like it as I started to come into it and just understand, like, my voice is a vessel to connect people as well, to connect things, to sing things, say things, you know, do whatever. And so, yeah.
That's dope, man. So what I got from you hit a lot of key components within that last statement, man. So, but what I ultimately got from it is you about to sing, because there's a mic right there. Nah, man, but that's what's up, man. And for those of you guys who don't know, and I'll save that question actually. But Brooklyn, how was it growing up for you in New York, man? Because we are here in sunny South Florida, man, and people don't understand it. You know, I came in my junior year in high school, right? So just leaving what I knew for now, what was extremely difficult for me to adjust. But once I did, I appreciated the opportunity to live and also be raised here, part of my life in South Florida. I think it was one of the best moves. But for you, and also you mentioned that your mom said your mom moved you guys to Long Island. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, for New Yorkers who want to get out of New York but don't want to go too far from New York, they gonna move their family to Long Island. So if it's not Long Island, then it's Jersey. But now it's Westchester County. I mean, but yeah, man. So how was that for you growing up in New York, man? Because it's difficult, but it's easy. But that's just like life. Oh, my people, how you holding up? Listen, we're gonna get back to the conversation, but before we do, I just want to invite you guys to subscribe to the YouTube channel. While you do that, turn on the notifications, like, comment, and also share for all updates, interviews, and episodes. Let's get back to the conversation.
Growing up in New York was, honestly, the version of New York that New York is right now, I can't say it's what we had back then. Yeah. But back then, I would say New York is a place where you want your kids to get raised because you have to learn a certain level of independence early on. Like, you're getting bus passes as a kid. There's no cheese bus. You got to go on public transportation, trains, the Q trains, whatever, and the commute. It teaches you how to commute and understand how to commute and survive with adults, other people, some people that are not all there. Like, just be aware of your surroundings because New York is really the concrete jungle.
Yes, sir.
And so traveling every day 2 hours to go to school and then 2 hours back, like, it was just part of the process. And then you get that transfer, that extra transfer on your bus pass.
Yes,
you might go a little somewhere, whatever. Like, life was just an experience because the food was amazing. Like, you could go around the corner, yo, Ak, I need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, get Heroes, chopped cheeses. And it was a part of a culture where it was so diverse. You grew up with everybody. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter what color skin you are, white, black, purple, brown, green. It don't matter. Like, everybody was there together and nobody looked at you. Like, I would honestly say in New York, racism didn't really exist.
I haven't experienced it, honestly speaking.
Nope.
Honestly speaking. I went to public school, PS 159 in East New York, and it was a lot of Bangladesh students. We had some Hispanics, and of course we had the primary of Black African American, but more so Caribbean, right? And it was very diverse, man. Some of my childhood friends were Indian, bro. And it's like, yo, we would, after school, this when arcades was big, bro. I went, all right, you get out of school at 3. I want you home at 3:30. You gotta take the train. I know what time. All right, I'm gonna be home. I'm getting home at 5 o'clock. I'm suffering that beating, but the arcade was fun, Facts. So it's times like that, man, where I truly cherished growing up in New York, man. I don't see much community here in Miami, and I could be wrong because I'm not a child anymore, right? But man, New York, if you can make it there, you can definitely make it anywhere. That same
and I
true.
feel like more parks are appreciated in New York because
handball court.
Handball courts, just basketball courts. There's a lot more. Like, there's just a lot more parks in general. Because I drive around here to just look at the lay of the land, and it's a little bit of both. Where the time frame we grew up, like, you were forced to go outside more often than stay inside, and so you went to the parks, you went outside, you made friends, and then it was just way more social because you're forced to be around people. Versus here, you gotta have a car, or you gotta have some type of wheels because the transportation system here is not the same.
I think also back then, there are a lot. The families were bigger. There were a lot more children. Now it's scarce. People are having 1, maybe 2 or 3 kids, right? So it's not many people that they can have community with, who can go outside and play tag with, play football.
And the part of it that I don't even think it's the amount of kids. I think the real glue that's missing in today's age is grandmothers. Grandmothers aren't the same anymore because back in the day, not too young, but the operation of it. My grandmother was the glue that held our family together. Like, everybody got to come over and Thanksgiving and do this and do whatever you needed to do and just be around each other. And other people's grandmothers are they were that staple. And because our moms have turned into the grandmothers now, it's like a version of, okay, it's not quite like that.
And I think with our parents, our mothers now having to become grandparents, they now have to learn how to be a grandparent, right? I'm not gonna lie, I have a 2-year-old daughter, right? And my mom let her get away with murder. My grandmom's, God rest her soul, which was my mom's mother, yeah, we couldn't play that.
Nope.
We couldn't play that. You know what I mean? So she's definitely in a space of, I guess, the gentle parenting. What was that when
right? It didn't exist when I was growing up.
Man, it was built the ass every day, bro.
Every day.
But it's all good because, you know, I played my part in that. So,
of course,
you know, it is what it is. But, man, look, first, when we first met, we met at a live podcast recording session, right? Which was dope. Shout out to Candino and shout out to Brendan, right? The common denominator was New York, right? And it is New York. How'd you make your way down to South Florida?
Well, I was actually in California.
Nice.
And so I was stationed there. I had just got off deployment and I was getting ready to get out.
Okay.
And I was talking to this young lady, and I'm like, yo, I joined the military to blow stuff up. Shoot guns. I don't have a skill.
Yeah.
I came in and I left with a destructive skill where other people, you know, learn engineering, they learn refrigerator mechanics, they learn motor T. Yeah. And while you're in the military, people laugh at things like that. People laugh at things like supply. But now you got people leaving with real life experience, real job experience that they could take into the new world. And here's me, like, I know how to blow stuff up. I know how to shoot stuff, and unless I want to be a cop, or security, that's not really applicable to my life. And so, yeah, I was talking to this girl, and she was like, "Well, I have a pretty stable job. I have a pretty stable life. If you want to, you know, move in with me, I'm okay with that while you figure out yourself." And I said, "Oh, what?" I said, "Yeah, Armenian chick."
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so I came to Florida.
Nice. How long has it been since you made
2016.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're coming up on a decade.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Does it feel like home yet? Because I know for a lot of people, especially New Yorkers, it can be tough, or just people in general, if you relocate, it can be tough to adapt and readjust a new lifestyle, especially when you spend so much of your time in one demographic. How was it for you adjusting? Does it feel like home?
I fully adjusted because I became a different version of myself out here.
Was that mastermind rich or was that Moneybag
both
rich? Okay.
Yeah, both. Because, you know, Rich, 85-90% of Florida knows me by Rich, but my real name is Darryen.
Okay.
And so Darryen existed in New York. Darryen was running the streets. Darryen was, you know, the person who got shot, you know, stabbed, you know, dealt with activities that he shouldn't have been dealing with in New York. And Darryen was homeless for like 2 years in New York, sleeping in abandoned houses, no water, no electricity, having to heat the water up to take showers, like all of that, you know, dealing with all of that. And so me being able to separate myself, you know, the military gave me the name Richardson, and they said, "Oh, it's too long. We just gonna make it Rich." And then me reading books and everything, I said, you know what? I'm going to create a different person. By the time I come to Florida, you know, they're not going to know who Darryen was. They're going to know who Rich is. And so when I came out here, you know, Rich was born out here. You know what I'm saying? And so it really became just that version of me.
You know what's so beautiful about conversations and interactions and discussions like this? You get to enhance your perspective on the individual or individuals that you're having a conversation with, but also your perspective personally, right? And you can view the world and you can improve your perception, right? The Bible, and we spoke about, you know, Jesus Christ off camera. And when this has been a realization for me, and I told you earlier in a conversation with Brooklyn and Boon, but now you're saying Darryen and Rich, and then Moneybag Rich, and then Mastermind Rich. It's very synonymous to the Israelites when God allowed Moses to lead them from Egypt to Canaan, which was the promised land, right? And a lot of us don't realize that who we once were fuels and motivates the purpose that God has ordained for us into that promised land, which is Canaan, right? From Darryen to Rich, from Moneybag Rich to Mastermind Rich, who is both, right? For me, Brooklyn and Boon, right? So that's just mind-blowing and mind-boggling how our past doesn't have to define us, but it can help define us. Right? We can see what was, and we can either stay in that darkness, or we can see the light and realize, like, hey, I want to experience this, or I know that there's more out there for me that I can take advantage of, and I can use where I came from in order to not only put myself in a better position, but to also help and encourage others to be put in a better position.
100%. The mission that God has put me on,
yes, sir,
to create my company the way it's been created, Attractivemindset, was, understanding how to meet people that don't want to be found. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like
me in music.
It's a lot harder than most people think to find somebody like the old version of you. Because I wasn't looking for help when I was Darryen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was hitting the streets, I was doing what I was doing, but I wasn't on social media. I wasn't getting coaches or mentors. I wasn't doing any of that. I wasn't going to college. I wasn't going to school to have somebody say, hey, you can better your life or do this. Like, and so being able to understand the version of myself that I was and who I became now, I find the me's a lot easier, and I find the me's that deal with battles and don't want to ask for help, don't want to deal with help, or don't want to associate themselves with, maybe owing somebody something or whatever, because I've dealt with that. And, my pride kept me held down as Darryen for a long time because I didn't want to associate myself with anybody or be a burden to anybody or do any of that. And so now, at the stance that I am, when I meet these individuals, whether they're male, female, it doesn't matter. We have a conversation, and God has enabled me to become a very good conversationalist. And so it's not something where it's like, hey, I'm talking to you to sell you something, or I'm talking to you to take care of you, but I'm talking to you as a friend. And I'm letting you know that help is here if you need. And I'm letting you also know that you can be a better version of yourself if you want to.
If you want to. How you holding up? And that's the thesis of it.
Yeah.
Exactly what you just professed. That's exactly what it is, right? And again, using what took place to better not only yourself, but others as well, because you've had the experience where you weren't looking for mentors and guidance, and you were doing a number of things that maybe there's other individuals who were just like you that you can relate to. Yo, bro or sis, I've been there before, but let me show you how I got over that, how I persevered, right? So that's extremely important, man, and I salute you on this mission, because it seems as if you're consistent. I mean, look where we're at. We're at Attractive Mindset Studios and networks that you've cultivated and also created.
Yeah, well, God created it.
Of course, but you're cultivating it.
You're right.
Absolutely.
And it's just a testament to when things are happening in the moment, like, people have to understand that life is an obstacle course.
Absolutely.
And, they say, oh, man, and I get it all the time, like, oh, when you don't deal with the same things that I deal with and this and that or whatever. I said, but I deal with different things because God will bless you where you are. You know what I'm saying? And whatever moment you are in your life, blessings come in many different forms. Agreed. And blessings also come with things being taken away. Because as we feel like it, our human self up front don't want to accept that oh man, I lost something, not understanding what there is to be gained. And so we take it as a negative when it's really not a negative. And it's just a feeling of change. And change is what triggers that counter reaction of, oh man, this isn't good. I don't like this. I'm uncomfortable, uncomfort. And God, you know, and people give the devil way too much credit because God will make you uncomfortable. To put you where you need to be and understand where you're trying to go or where he's trying to lead you. And so, yeah, the obstacle course just gets bigger. You know, when you're a kid, you might play on the jungle gym. When you go to the military, you might do a little obstacle course. And when you come out in life, you might have to run a triathlon. You know what I'm saying? And so there's stages, and there's always going to be stages. No matter how much money you make, no matter how much people you're around, it doesn't matter.
Walk us through the day in the life of a mogul.
The day in the life of a mogul, man. Every day, it just looks like extreme discipline and extreme relaxation.
Okay, so balance.
Not even balance.
Okay.
Because to get to the level of a mogul, you have to be obsessed. There is no balance. But what I will say is there's choices. And people often misconstrue the two of balance and choice because they say that they want something, but they're not willing to sacrifice something else. That's balance. And comfort comes within that level of balance the same way. You know, for me, I feel like what am I trying to say? I feel like schedules are for lab rats.
Okay.
And so people that say, oh, I got to wake up at 4 a.m., then hit the gym by 5, and then do this and then do that. We have to understand that as a human being, no matter who you are, you have 24 hours. If you go to the gym at 9 p.m., if you go to the gym at 5 a.m., if you go to the gym at 1 in the morning, you went to the gym.
Right.
The cycle of that 24-hour time span is complete. And so putting extra pressure on yourself to make a time block means that you're running on borrowed time. You know what I'm saying? And you have to become a version of what I like to call a time traveler, to where we have to understand that time doesn't really exist, only the pretenses that we put it on. Because there's going to be many lifetimes after us as there were many lifetimes before us. And so when we understand that the world only moves according to what we have to do, time becomes way easier to manage and understand and put things in place. And so for me, I wake up when I'm not tired. I go to sleep when I'm tired. If I'm hungry, I eat food. You know what I'm saying? And there's no set schedule to, oh, dinner's at 6 or dinner's at 5 or 7 or whatever. Like, I live life according to what life should be lived as. You know, when we were back in the day, hunters and gatherers, like, you live to have a certain level of survival. And me being able to have survival at this state of my life is, can my companies run without me? Do I have systems set up to where, you know, if I'm not here, who's being an engineer, who's running the studio, how's it being promoted? I have staff for that. I have things in place for that. And now my discipline to that part of it that comes in, every single day I have conversations. And so they're not business conversations necessarily, but they're conversations. And so I talk to people. That can usually lead to business conversations, but I'm the guy that spends time now to just check in with people. I might hit somebody up. Yo, nice cat, nice dog. How'd your birthday go? You ready for your wedding coming up? Like, you know, being that person that's there. And people think like, oh, yeah, it's this salesperson. It's not. It's understanding that sales can make way for being a genuine human being. And when you're a genuine human being, people want to help you. And people want to, you know, help you get to where you're trying to go. I don't have to sell anybody on something that they can use or already need, because this is not like oh, well, I want to do it kind of thing. It's like, this is why you should be doing it. This is why you should be discovering your voice, or this is what you know, fill in the blank, whatever you want to. And so, you know, my schedules just make sure that our back end is good, make sure that I'm learning something new every week, and that's it.
Like how you said, every week and not every day, because a lot of us get consumed with I gotta learn something every day. Right now, you mentioned a lot of, and I'm gonna say it when I recognize multiple key points. But this one, I want to say that you touched on a lot of key points, right? And how do you find, and we spoke about this, how do you find the ability to be still while not being idle, but be still while being restful and also productive?
Yeah, we did talk about this, and we even talked about it a little yesterday too. And the ability to be still comes from dealing with time. You know, that's just like when somebody goes to school when they're young and they learn math, or they learn basic English or history. You know, learning time is a class. And most people never subscribe to the class and get their degree because they're not in control of their time. You know, I don't have a problem with 9 to 5s. I have a problem with not planning what happens after. You know, because you subscribe to the conscious thought process of, I want to work. What now? They just pushed the age up to 68. I want to work 68 years. Okay, let's say you start at 18. I want to work 40 something plus years of my life doing the same thing every week to get to what? You know, and that what is different for everybody else.
For sure.
And so being able to understand where time comes in, if I'm obsessed for 10 years, 10. If I'm obsessed for 5, that's not balanced. That's obsessed. That's me hawk-like focused, you know, probably losing sleep, probably eating bad stuff. I might even miss the gym a little bit, whatever. I set myself up for the rest of my life to be able to do something that I've never done. I made a plan. I made a break in the system that they've created for you, because following somebody else's system that's not God's puts you in a world of pain. You know, subscribing to the system of man, that who told you that you had to work for 40 something years of your life?
Yeah, that's a little bit absurd.
You know what I'm saying? And then even with that, if we look at the state of the economy, most people still with jobs are barely getting by. We look at the minimum of what most people are making. We look at, and I know these stats because this is what I deal with. My psychology is organizational psychology. So if you go to sba.gov, you don't have to listen to me. Go look at the stats. The average Black American male right now makes $45,600 a year. And if you look at the statistics of what it just takes to survive in South Florida, that man has to have now 2 or 3 jobs to not only get by, but be somewhat comfortable. And if you start factoring in places like California or New York or even Atlanta,
forget about it.
You know, forget about it, because the economy is taking you places where you don't win, you know. And then if you look at everything on a grand scale, the tax system, we're the most taxed country on this planet. You know what I'm saying? And the government is still somehow in debt. We have a national debt calculator where we're like $53 trillion in debt. And so once you understand that money isn't everything, because of literally what our country is, the Constitution, when you go into the military, you know, we don't actually put our hand up to defend the people. We put our hand up to defend the Constitution of the United States. When you're given a Social Security number, you're a business to the United States. And that's why you're able to be taxed in the way you're able to be taxed. A lot of people try to complain about things like, oh, where there's no tax laws, there isn't, but there's codes. And with those codes, they subscribe to what actually has to be done as a person that has a Social Security number. And so we can go deep down that rabbit hole, but I say all of that to say is, being still comes from understanding that the world isn't what you really think it is.
So that was a segment of Mastermind Rich, the business analyst. So you guys tap in for his services if you want to know more, right? No, but you know, and as you were speaking, the Holy Spirit put it on my spirit, where when God blesses you, you won't have to toil over it. But Bible also says a man who doesn't work doesn't eat.
Facts.
Right? So when we speak on being idle and also being still, we have to have so much faith and trust in God that he will provide, because he does, right? A lot of us, and I think how the world has portrayed it is we have to, right? Instead of saying we get to, and we want to, and we need to.
And you're missing one.
What's that?
We will.
And we will.
You know, that conviction level of we will, probably, other than the fact that we get to, because having the opportunity to do so is precedent, but we will, that conviction level, you're already going into something like, I'm not going to lose. That's the unwavering faith that's needed to be able to take the journey that you have to take. And I've never approached a situation where I thought I was going to lose ever. You know, that's where my Mayweather comes in, where if I go into a boxing match, you know, some people, even if they're a great fighter, if you have one loss on your record, you automatically start to think, I could lose this fight. If I go in as Mayweather, I'm 50-0. Why would I lose this fight? You know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing for life. You know, yes, I've taken L's in many businesses that I've tried to start, but from that L, I've never been kept down. I've never been knocked down, and I've never quit. You know, I've transitioned and I've pivoted in my life, but I've never quit. And so even when I deal with obstacles, or even when I deal with things where I don't have the answers, I have full faith in God, because I said, I don't know. I'm dealing with a lawsuit right now, and they're going to take some bread from me, and that the court date is mid next month or whatever. And yeah, you know, there's ways to approach it and whatnot, but you know, I have other people more concerned asking me like, yo, what you gonna do? And I said, I don't know. I will know by the time it comes. You know what I'm saying? And I've already let that chapter go to God. I'm not even trying to deal with that. And for people who use that on a day-to-day basis or an execution basis, you shouldn't do that though, because I put the work in to get to where I'm at right now. You know what I'm saying? And when God gives people visions, or God gives people deliverance in the path that they should be taking, you know, that's the step that he's doing. And it's your task, because there's plenty quotes like this in the Bible where you have to execute that. You know, he's not going to execute it for you. You know, God will bless you where you are. And if you do a little bit, you're going to get a little bit. If you do a lot, you might get a lot. And if you do a lot, sometimes you might get nothing, because what you're trying to go for isn't what he really wants to get from you. And so understanding the difference between all of them is like, okay, cool. I'm making something, but maybe I need to pivot a different type of way. You know, I just launched the network in August when we went to a podcast convention. I spent about $7-8 grand.
That was the one in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay.
I spent about $7-8 grand to get that up, going, launched. The day we got there, it broke. The system broke. Didn't get a single sign up. Didn't get a single subscriber. And I made it to go there. You know what I'm saying? And instead of me kicking, flailing, being mad, spent the money, I said, you know, okay, cool. How can I try to fix this? How can I try to get this back up? We started doing manual collections of people, whatever. And even then, I tried to follow up with people on something where they liked it in person and it should be an easy close after. Not a single close again. And I said, you know what? I'm going to pause. God's trying to tell me something. Don't focus on this right now. That doesn't mean don't make it. That doesn't mean quit it. That doesn't mean stop. That means pivot. There's something else within this business of what he enabled me to create that needs my attention. And that's when we started pushing the music studio even more. And now that's getting ready to be up and running. And before it's not even on our website yet. We don't advertise this on our website at all. And this literally can only be God. Because literally, and I got text message proof, I got visual proof, I got engineer proof. Like, they're like, yo, where are these people coming from? Because we've had people call us, yo, what are your music studio rates? And I would have to tell them, we're not a music studio. You know, there were people send text messages to the number, hey, what's the rates? What's the hourly rates? Are you talking about podcast or studio? Oh, nah, music. Damn. You know, I would have people pull up to the door, just ring the bell. I'm like, hello? They're like, yeah, we're here to check out the studio. Invite them in. Oh, this is not a music studio? And we don't even advertise it on the website yet. And so signs like that in real time is like, okay, cool. You're doing this. You know what I'm saying? I got to pay attention to what you're putting in front of me, not neglect what I want to go on because I want to launch the network. That's me. That's what I want to do. But that's clearly not what God wants me to do because I tried to launch it twice and it failed twice. I didn't get rid of it. I didn't stop the motion for it. I said, okay, cool. I'm going to put it on pause and I'm going to focus over here. And since I've been focusing over here, I've been back to more showcases. I've been getting invites from you to come to open mics. I've been getting invites from you to be a judge. I've been getting more into my music bag again from where I once stopped. And so it says, okay, cool. I'm going the right way.
You know, speaking of my music and my showcase, right? You mentioned Floyd Mayweather, the analogy of an undefeated boxer and a boxer who lost once but who now thinks that he will go into the next match losing. You've also mentioned how you decided that you wanted to do something, but that wasn't the primary focus that the Heavenly Father had for you in that moment, right? I got a song called I'm on Time, and a bar in that song is, I don't lose, got back more, just took a loss is all. Right? So even when I lost, I didn't completely lose.
Facts.
I got back more. I just had to take that loss in order for me to realize what I needed to gain and learn from that loss, which is now a gain because I have the experience, the wisdom, the knowledge of what took place that didn't work to now applying it to what now is working. Right? So it's key components like that where we must, first of all, I commend you for being aware that Jesus is calling you not to do something or to do something, but situational awareness is it's prevalent. Well, it's not as prevalent in the human mind or the human spirit that we can pay attention to those signs of, okay, I need to pivot, as you said, or maybe not right now. Let me focus on what needs to be paid attention to most right now, right? So I truly commend you for that. I can continue to see why Attractivemindset is your mantra and also the brand name of your company. So now, what's been the biggest life lessons that you've applied in your personal life that you implement in your professional life, and vice versa?
The biggest life lessons is honestly consistency.
Okay.
Consistency. You know, what makes somebody, whether they're an artist, whether they're creative, whether they're a business person, whether they're whatever, there still has to be truth to your consistency.
For sure.
You can't be consistent and unreal or unrealistic. But with consistency, you have to understand that you're going to take an L. You're going to get some wins. You might get some upfront money. You might not get some upfront money. You know, even when I first started the podcast, our first maybe 60, 70 episodes, because we're over 200 episodes now, got no money for it. And I was paying. You know what I'm saying? Because I still had a location at the time. I still had engineers at the time. I still had editing to be done at the time. Like, I was still paying even through that. Like, okay, cool. We're gonna win though. It's that mentality of stepping in like, I don't see it right now, but I know I need to be here right now. And so I'm not gonna stop based off of my upfront situation, and I'm gonna figure another way out to supplement that. And that's always been everything. And consistency will break those barriers any day.
Consistency. Yeah, I like that word. I also like the meaning of it. And you see the results of it once you stick with it. What about persistency?
I'll add to that though. Like, because some people have been very consistent and wrong. I know people that have been doing something for a very long time and still doing it as a beginner. The time is not the level of consistency that we want to measure. The level of consistency that we want to measure is the percentage of how much we got better over time. All right? And so 1% better a day, you know, from the time I finished shooting episode 1 to episode 70, I changed as an interviewer. That's what changed what happened to the brand up front, you know. However long that took, which was about a year and some change, okay, cool. That's the time aspect to it. But my increments of personal change in that consistency is what made the overall consistency better. And so some people do the same exact thing for a long time,
getting the same results
and get the same results. And so it's like, oh, I've been consistent. I've been doing this for 5-10 years. It says, but why your shit look like that?
Why haven't you improved?
You know what I'm saying? Why haven't you improved? Because you haven't struggled enough. And I've thrown myself in things where, you know, even early days media for me, like the guy who originally put me on was Dre Films, who was Rick Ross's personal videographer at first. And then Edgar Estevez was one of my early mentors, who runs Blank Square Productions, who do all the music videos for like Chris Brown and whoever you could think of as like a big celebrity. And they saw me coming up and they were like, bro, where'd you go to school for this? I said, I didn't. You know what I'm saying? But anything that they threw at me, you know, somebody would come up to me, you know, when we got deals with Hard Rock Stadium, Bacardi, Morgan Freeman, all of these. Hey, can you guys do this? Yup.
Yes, sir.
Do you have this camera? Yep. I said that to my first red camera booking. They were like, yo, we need the red camera. Our videographer canceled on us. Somebody referred you to us. We need this in like 2 days. Can you do it? Do you have the staff for it? Yep. Meanwhile, I only got 3 of us with Sonys. You know what I'm saying? I had to go find a way to get a $25,000 camera rig set up, but I did it. And putting myself in that situation to make my word my bond,
important,
you know, just took me to the next level of consistency, because I didn't shy away from it. I didn't shy away from the danger. I didn't shy away from the risk, because at the end of the day gotta end. You know what I'm saying? And so even if I can't for whatever reason fulfill it, you know, I tried. And most people don't take the step of actually trying because they don't want to deal with the loss. And so even with this building, I was supposed to get this with 2 other people. And in the first 2.5 weeks, they both left. And so what should have been split 3 ways all fell to me. And I'm talking 5 figures fall to me, you know, and I had this studio up still by myself in the next 30 days.
Perseverance.
You know what I'm saying? And risk, because I didn't know how I was going to do it. And I prayed. I said, yo,
and faith.
I need help. And help came. And it was all she wrote.
Okay. So, in addition to being a creator of How You Holding Up the podcast, I'm also a music artist. For those of you guys who know or who may not know, in this segment, I'll be asking you, Rich, I'll be asking you questions based off the titles of my music.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. This episode of How You Holding Up the Podcast is brought to you by Attractivemindset Studio, where your mindset attracts the studio. Perfect for your podcast and audio production sessions, AMS is your one-stop shop for all things media related. For 10% off, book your slot now and tell them BrooklynBoon sent you. And don't forget, you can't spell Brooklyn without putting Boon in it. All right, so the first one. At what point did you realize you came a long way?
I came a long way when I was able to look at somebody else and say, I've been there. You know, real judgment of time and distance comes from experience.
Repeat that one more time.
Real judgment of time and distance comes from experience. And so, you know, when you tell somebody like I've came a long way might mean different things to different people. A drive to Jacksonville is a long way for some people in a car. You know, a a walk down the block is a long way. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the vehicle that you take, and this can apply to life, you've come a long way. And so when you see a version of yourself that used to exist, and people see a different version of you now, especially when they say things like, "Oh, I can't even picture you like that."
Oh yeah.
When I get that part, I laugh a little bit inside. Exactly, because they're like, "You was in the streets. You was doing this. You was doing that," and I was like, "Hey." You know, it was an era.
Element of surprise, man.
You know what I'm saying?
But that shows growth, though.
Yeah, and so we came a long way.
Yes, sir. Okay. So now this next one is an unreleased song, right? But, and I look forward to hearing the responses of people that I asked this question, right? So I'm looking forward to yours. If you knew better, what would you have done better?
Nothing.
Okay. Wow. Now you got to elaborate on that. Yeah.
Nothing, you know, and I love when people ask this kind of question to me, because every decision that I made from not knowing better directed me to being better right now.
Okay.
And the version of myself that I am, I've fall in love with the version of me that exists. And so I wouldn't, even if I had the ability to go back 10 years from now and give myself the game, it would change me.
Right.
And every experience, every person that I touched, you know, even with the losses that I got, there's certain losses that help me help other people, even if it wasn't helping myself. And I wouldn't want to take that away from their life.
Okay. Okay. In what way has God shown you that he's on time? How much does faith in Jesus Christ determine the way you live personally and professionally? Personally,
it definitely determines the way I live based off of be a good human being. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to tell people I'm a better friend than I am a human being.
Yeah.
Because personally, I've messed up. You know, as we all have. I've done a lot of things in my life that I'm not proud of, but I've never let my friends down. I've never let my acquaintances down. I've never let my people down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've understood the culture of the Black Panther Party. I've understood the culture of what is trying to be pushed as a gender for black men and this and that. And, you know, where God has come into my life for that has been able to make me a prominent figure in the black men space. That's a safe space, because most black men aren't sitting having conversations like that. You might see these podcasts of, you know, $1 million worth of game, Cam Newton, whoever, like, that are black figures that are talking, but they're the 1%. Majority of us aren't talking about what's going on. Majority of us don't have somebody to say, "Yo, how you holding up?" Majority of us aren't having the conversations that let you express and feel safe expressing, because it's hard as a man to just be vulnerable. You get labeled as weak. You get labeled as, you know, unvaluable. You get labeled as you can't take control. You get labeled as a lot of things, even if they don't verbally say it.
Right.
And so, you know, being able to be the figure that I am now is just a testament to that, because the old version of me, again, wasn't even thinking about helping other people. I was just trying to find ways to help me. And professionally, God stepped into my life and said, "Yeah, I know what you wanted, but here's what you're going to do. And in doing what I need you to do for me, you're also going to get what you want to get." Because I've never chased money. I've always chased the purpose of what I'm trying to do. And what I'm trying to do is get a foothold on media, black media at that, and make more positive message, be more advertised to the public. We don't talk about sports and stuff on my podcast. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about, you know, clickbait kind of title type stuff. We talk about how somebody got to where they are today. And we put that message out, and organically we've monetized YouTube. Organically we've monetized Facebook and Instagram. You know, organically we've brought people on our podcast, and organically we've got messages, international and American, from people that wanted to give up and say, "Yo, that person's story changed my life." There's this one lady who lives in Istanbul, a black
Turkey.
lady. She has a coffee shop, and we had a guest that came on, and his primary is not coffee anymore, but he used to do stuff with coffee. And he almost shut down his shop, and then he kept going, and in him keeping going, he met his partner, and they opened up a new business. And from that, she was about to shut down her coffee shop, and she heard his story, and she related it to it so much, and she kept it open for 2 more weeks. And she said in those 2 weeks, she met somebody that came in, did an advertisement, and the shop blew up to the point where she franchised off to another shop.
Wow.
And so she sent me a picture, and she was
Praise
like
God.
holding up 2 coffees, and she was like, if you're ever out here, coffee on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that episode only has like 500 views. You know what I'm saying? And so being able to find the gems of who needs to hear us within that versus advertising. I'm not running no ads. Even for the studio, I don't run ads. I don't have anything against ads. But when you're reaching out to somebody, you're influencing them wanting to be a part of what you got going on versus if they authentically meet you or you meet on a organic kind of way. And so that's always been my vibe.
Have you ever experienced mental disparity, depression, stress, anxiety?
Yeah.
What was
Dealing
that
with
like
it right
for you?
now. I deal with it right now, and I'll tell you exactly why I deal with it right now. Because, and this is why, even when it comes to like the suicide rate for some rich people, people are like, man, you're rich. Why would you want to commit suicide? Or why would you want to, not be here or deal with this? Or what makes you unhappy? You have everything.
Right.
And you don't. Because for me, the part of it that bothers me the most is I can't really live life the way I want to live with the people that I love. And I see them still stuck in the schedules that I used to be stuck in. And so I have now more time than I've ever had before.
Right.
And I'm seeing life from an outside perspective. And I wake up at, will and just do things at will. And I can spend money and not have to think about it in a certain capacity. Like, they can't do the same thing with me. And so because I don't have as many people as I would like on my journey, I feel more alone than I've ever felt before. Because when I was in the mix, staying up, shooting episodes, editing it, putting it out, to the point like I was more obsessed than anybody around me, to the point where I crashed my car. I was up for 72 hours and I shot like 5 music videos, edited them the same night, went to an event, stayed up, edited again, went to another one the next morning, went to a baby shower, went to my friend's going away party, whatever, to where I fell asleep at the wheel and crashed into a tree. Because my body had to force me to go to sleep because I wasn't taking sleep for an answer. I said, I sleep when I get the money. You know what I'm saying? And even in that version of myself where I was definitely more overworked, I was more fulfilled. And that's what, they kind of teach you in the military too. Boot camp sucked. Yeah, it did. But it sucked with people around you. You didn't do it by yourself.
Battle buddies.
You had a system around you. The military in a good capacity sucked. But you had people around you. And because you had those people around you, life wasn't so bad. Even when we grew up in the hood, like me staying in that house with no electricity, no hot water, no nothing, I had 2 of my closest homies in there. And people with electricity and water would come over our crib. And, we'd rip the boards off the windows, climb in because it went into floor closure and they tried to get us out the house and all of that. And we would go right back in and people would come hang out with us because the vibes were there. The money wasn't there. All of that wasn't there, but the vibes were there. We had each other. And because we had each other, what was going on in life didn't matter as much. It mattered, but it didn't matter as much. And so now when I get to this level of my life, I have the opposite because now I have the money, I have the time, I have the things that I'm able to do, but I don't have the friends to do it with. It's not the same to me to make $1 million and then say, yo, let's go to Colombia for a month. My homie's gonna be like, I can't do that, bro. I can maybe go for a weekend. And so that's the mission that I'm on now, is to bring the people that I love the most in the capacity that I can. That's what keeps me going, because if I stop today, all my bills are still paid. All the studio stuff is still paid. Like, if I didn't shoot another podcast, if I didn't do another coaching session, if I didn't do anything, the business would run by itself. Everything is fine. But what keeps me going forward is the purpose of finding new people that still need help and finding people that I can then also enjoy this level of life with.
So I like to believe that vulnerability is the best form of communication through conversation. I discovered that doing a job that I was working in direct marketing, actually. And I also realized that people buy into you before they buy into anything that you're selling.
Yep.
I asked Gary V a question. I had the opportunity working a job that I got fired from a week and a half of only working it, but in that time I got the chance to ask Gary V this question. Being financially wealthy, does that make him happy, or does it bring him joy? And his response was neither.
To have you in mind as well. What you guys doing up there? I have one question for you. Being financially wealthy,
Yes.
does that bring you joy, or does it just make you happy?
Neither. Jared, I promise you, and I know most people, a lot of people struggle with my point of view on this. Real talk. And I'm incredibly aware of some of the stresses money takes off the table. But the amount of people that have money that I know that are incredibly unhappy, deeply insecure, deeply in depression, is so much you couldn't even imagine. Money accelerates one's truth. If you're happy, you're happier. But if you're angry, you're more angry. Money exposes us. It doesn't change us.
Thank you, and God bless.
And it was very profound, because me, and I'll give you scripture, Philippians chapter 4 from 8 to 13. Paul says that I know what it's like to be abound and abased, but meaning I know what it's like to have a lot and a little, but I'm content with either or.
Yep.
Right now, when you mentioned the wealthy, they commit suicide, and this is statistically speaking. For me, I've had a lot of money, and for me, I'll say in a 5-month span, I was able to accumulate $82,000, right? Which was a lot. This was unheard of, me coming from where I came from, and the job that was just so easy, how God blessed me, and it was unexpected first and foremost. Like how he pulled a rabbit out the hat with that one. And I was super excited, man. I'm making all this money, right? And it's so easy. I'm in a studio. This was the most consistent I was in the studio at the time. I made a song called CTC, right? My first single that I put on all platforms, called Cut the Check. And I was so excited. I'm sharing it with my brothers. I'm like, yo, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Yo, the bread is every 2 weeks, I'm making 5,000 to 7,000. Boom, boom, boom. Like, yo, we doing pool parties. Yo, look, y'all don't need nothing. Just get y'all flight and come to Miami. I got everything else. And have $100 in your pocket just so y'all can feel comfortable. But everything else, I got y'all.
Yeah.
When that money went, when I was doing these single releases in clubs and doing Rolling Loud, I got the Airbnb. Just book y'all ticket. I got everything else. The liquor, the hookah, the whatever. I got everything else. Just make sure y'all get there. I got everything else. When I lost it, though, it was a lonely road.
Yep.
So whether if I had a lot, I was content. I was just a lot more excited. Whether if I had little to nothing, I was still excited because I had hope and I had faith and I had things to look forward to. Because I'm like, God, I know you're not going to just leave me here. Like, you've been giving me dreams and visions. I got this time, this talent, and this treasure. I know you're not going to leave me here. So in the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of joy, I realized that you can't bring everybody with you, and not everybody who you want to come with you is going to be able to come with you at that time or whenever God permits it to happen. Maybe he'll bring
100%.
other people, right, that is divinely ordained and orchestrated to fulfill the life that he has for you, right? The book of Nehemiah, he was called to rebuild the temple of the Lord, and when he was rebuilding it, the people that once were couldn't rebuild that with him. And I'm like, damn this.
Yeah.
As much as we want to bring the people who like, yo, look, you've experienced this struggle with me. I want you to come with me, bro, because on this side, it's very beneficial. It's beautiful over here. It's beautiful there too. But I'm past that. But look, over here, what God is creating for me, I know I can help you over here, but they're not ready for that. And because they're not ready for that, you can't do a month in Colombia with them right now. Maybe, and take that weekend, right? And I say all of that to say, Jesus Christ for me has allowed me to be filled with so much joy and happiness, because whether I have money, I'm happy. Whether if I don't have money, I'm joyful. But if I can have that same amount of joy that I have with money that I don't when I don't have money,
I'd rather the money. Of course.
you feel me?
You know?
But I'm fulfilled,
Yeah.
ultimately, and now I can do the things that he's called me to do. I can speak to people in a higher capacity, and even now with me having little to none, I still have everything that I need because I have him, and he's aligning things. As long as I keep persevering,
Yep.
bro, we film in a studio between Soundwave Jordan and I. Now we have 3 cameras, right? We're able to, makeshift. I got wireless mics, but now I'm speaking with you with my logo in the back in your studio, your network, and I have so many other people that I'm able to have conversations with that's interested and that's curious as to, I need to talk to people.
Yep.
Right? So it's like Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and because I have him, I have everything. Whether if I have a lot of money or whether if I have little to nothing, he's going to provide, bro. So I want to ask you, with everything that you've experienced, how you holding up? Because I know it's not a question that's asked often.
Yeah. The honest answer to that would be I could be better. Because right now it becomes a version of my cup is overflowing, but it still has cracks. And so even though it's always full because the faucet's always turned on, I'm still leaking. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is like I don't focus enough on myself. At the version of me that I've become, I've put myself to the side more often to become the version that learns how to help other people better.
Because you're a better friend now than a better human, you said.
Exactly.
Okay.
And everything, no matter what it is, comes at a catch-22. And so even, to go back to something that you had said where, not everybody's supposed to go, while that is true, that's also a small percent, because where patience comes in is how long are you willing to wait for them to become the version of themselves that they need to be. Because they usually do figure it out one way or another.
For sure.
If you look at the statistics of males, and again, this is stuff that's online, don't take my word for it, that go into a system, the prison system for more than 5 years, they change dramatically.
Some do.
They change most.
Most do.
Yeah, they change dramatically, statistically proven on records of going back to crime or going back into something versus going into an actual job or field or whatever after. Statistically, is way up. But what's advertised on the news is the negative portion of it,
the time done.
and the time done, and the people that don't bounce back from that. But even the connection of what I'm saying that for is the amount of time that it takes to undo what somebody has learned in their life. We've grown up in systems. We both from Brooklyn, but we didn't go to the same schools. But I guarantee you, on your paper, you wrote your name.
Yeah.
You wrote the date. You wrote your class. Even you, Soundwave, right? You from Florida?
Yeah, born and raised.
Okay. On your class in high school, what'd you write on the top of your paper?
Name, date, type of class, subject, all that.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
You see, and so he's younger, different time frame, different area, different section, but it's the same system. And so that's what we've all been taught. Different systems over our life. We taught it in high school. That's 4 years. Middle school, 4 years. Then you got the whole system of K through 12 in general. And then you go to college. That could be 4 years for an associate, bachelor's, all of that kind of stuff. We're inducted into systems, and then you meet somebody at the prime of when you're trying to help them. And then you give up after year one. You're going against 12 years of systems already being drilled into their life. Their parents talking to them a certain way, them going to church maybe a certain way, or understanding the Bible, not understanding the Bible a certain type of way, them dealing with life a certain type of way. You're battling every system that they've built in their life, and you're saying, hey, you should be doing this. But it's not as easy as that, which is why people who smoke cigarettes can't give up that quick, or people who, drink can't give up that quick.
Right.
You're trying to make somebody go cold turkey after a year when they've been doing it for 12.
Right.
And so how long are you willing to wait to finally get to the question or get to the ability to say effectively, yo, how you holding up?
Right.
Patience.
Patience indeed. And I gotta share this, man, because you said you're at the point where you're doing more for others than you are for yourself. And me and you also mentioned, people understand the Bible at whatever time they're appointed to, right? The Bible, though, Jesus, bro, before he interacted with people, he interacted with God, with the Heavenly Father. He fueled himself. He gave himself the opportunity to be whole before he have a conversation with his disciples, before he perform any miracles, before he heal anybody, before he do anything. And then after he do that, after he poured into people, same thing again. He spent time. He decompressed. He spent time with the Heavenly Father. He rested. He relaxed, and he did the same thing over, right? Because he had that opportunity to get himself together so that he can better help others. And he had a successful ministry. So I think us as men especially is very imperative, especially those of us men who are fathers, husbands, brothers, friends, and sons. We have to be able to strengthen our spirit, our mind, and our soul before we interact with other people.
Yep.
And don't be afraid to ask somebody how you holding up, because being raised in Brooklyn, in New York, is very fast paced.
Yep.
So we can walk down the street, yo, Rich, how you? Yo, I'm good.
Yeah.
All right, yo, I'm holler at you. And that be it. Knowing like, damn, if I would have just built a wall, probably, and like slowed it down, like, yo, Rich, how you holding up, bro? Like, you know what I mean? I just want to. And if we build that, because New York is so fast paced, and of course there's other places that are fast paced, but we don't get these questions asked, especially with the trials and tribulations, knowingly or unknowingly, that we as individuals or collectives have been through. So we can't get down to the nitty gritty. We can't find out the root of the problem, and we don't have solutions, because now our parents and their parents have experienced a certain type of trauma. So now they allow that to reflect on how they raise their children, which are our parents. And now that's on us. And it's like, damn, you get to a point, patience, yo, why am I like this? And then you start self-reflecting, and then you be like, bro, they were conditioned like that, systems, and now I'm like that, but now I'm aware I need to get rid of all of that.
And so now
Yes.
The gem that I want to add to that, and this,
Please do.
if you never took anything from this podcast, I want you to remember this in the audience, that there's 3 versions of change. 3 versions of change, right?
Okay.
There's a positive, there's an uncomfortable, and there's a negative.
Okay.
Right? The negative version of change, if you really think back on it, when is the last time you changed and why?
Me personally? Oh, bro, I'm changing now. I'm changing now.
But what caused that change?
God told me to leave both of my jobs.
Uncomfort. Before that, what caused that change?
I was comfortable. And before that, it was a tax levy on my account, on my bank account.
Okay. And so with that, the negative change usually comes in the form of extreme. Let's say somebody drinking, driving, they get hit with a DUI. Now they stop drinking. They stop, dealing with alcohol. They change their life. They do something like that. Yeah, you would hope so.
Right.
You have other versions where somebody set something on fire. Somebody might go to prison, whatever. Those are negative versions of change. Uncomfortable versions of change. Now, these are usually the God-ordained change that we didn't know we needed. They're going to put you in a position that's you're not going to feel good about,
Right.
but it is what it is. And then you have the positive versions of change. And this is the least amount of voluntary change that occurs.
Right.
Because human beings haven't learned how to change their life when they're in control. Being able to change your life when you're in control is what dictates everything else that goes around you, and it damn near avoids the uncomfortable and the negative.
Right.
Because you're getting ahead of it. You're on the pathway that you need to be. When God puts you in an uncomfortable situation, it's to wake you up.
Truly.
It's to really wake you up.
Truly.
But if you're already woke, you have no need to deal with the uncomfort of it. You know what I'm saying? And this has been proven by the vessels that he's used throughout the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Even if you look at the movie Book of Clarence, which people hated, because they were like, oh, it's a blasphemous kind of movie, whatever, blah, blah. And the whole literally 75%, maybe 80% of the movie, this man was making fun of Jesus, God, everybody, like making fun of the Bible, like mocking it, whatever. And that last 20%, God did something, and this man's entire existence changed. And he became the one who fought for it the most.
Bro, that's like Paul.
And it's literally the last maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the movie. But people have to get through that hour and change first.
Yeah.
And that's life. Like the way that
that's
life
great.
occurs, you have to understand that where you start off is not where you're going to finish. And so understanding these 3 elements of change, if we learn how to positively change our life first, we deal with things in the way that we should.
Because then we can be steadfast.
Exactly, because
Okay.
when we came here, it was the Garden of Eden. We didn't come with uncomfort. We've caused the uncomfort.
So just one more time, just repeat the 3 stages of
Yeah, the 3 stages of change:
change.
positive,
Positive,
uncomfortable,
uncomfort,
and negative.
negative.
Negative is dealing with the extreme. Uncomfortable is being woken up to deal with what you didn't want to do. And positive is getting ahead of it.
Before we go, provide us with an encouraging word and a testimony. This is your chance to talk to him.
I got a podcast for that.
Come on now.
Want to talk business? I got contracts for that.
Literally. Yeah.
99 problems, only one answer for that.
God, it's going to work out. We drop gems just for that.
Talk to him. That's it.
Yes, sir. Oh, that's it. Man, listen, it was a tremendous pleasure and honor being here, speaking with you, having a discussion, having a conversation, the highs and lows. And this is just what's on record right now, right? And there's so much that we can discuss and that we will discuss, right? Because you said I missed one out earlier, and it's the will, right? So I'm speaking that to existence, and whether if it's candid on camera or if it's, behind the scenes and not on camera, we have a lot to talk about and unpack and unravel, man. But for the people out there, man, please do reintroduce yourself and also allow the people the opportunity to know the services that you provide, being an entrepreneur, a CEO, a founder, a friend, and so many other things. Just inform the people of what it is that you have coming up, how they can either be mentored by you, coached by you, or whatever it is that you want to share with the people. Let them know about your studio and whatever it is that Moneybag Mastermind Rich want to speak to them about.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I go by Rich, Moneybag Rich, Mastermind Rich, the duality, because in order to get money properly, you got to have a good mindset. And under to have a good mindset and furnish that mindset, you should be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And so being able to take care of yourself enables you to take care of others. And so that's what I do. That's what I talk about. 4 systems of mindset. You got your mental, your physical, your emotional, and then your financial. A lot of people try to focus on the money first when everything else in your life has to come into fruition to get to where you're trying to go. And so, we have an organizational psychology background. Attractivemindset is the brand. What we offer is media in the form of production, in the form of editing, in the form of coaching. But now we also have a music studio that we've added to the mix. And so everything media that you could think about, Hollywood, Florida, Attractivemindset Studio. Man, I'm thankful for being on this podcast. How You Holding Up the Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, tune in, tap in. If you want to follow me, learn more on social media, Real Moneybag Rich on Instagram and all other platforms. But if you want to tap in with the studio, see how we can help you do or get to where you're trying to go, Attractivemindset Studio on all platforms.
And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. And until the next time, how you holding up? And ask somebody else how they holding up, whether it be friend, family, or even a stranger. You just never know who you'll be helping out. Until then, God bless. Do well. It's your guy, BrooklynBoon. Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah, that was fire.
That's it.
Good work,
Right.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
I said it twice, I hope you got it. I won't say it again. Talk to him. I got a podcast for that. Wanna talk business? I got contracts for that. Hey, 99 problems, got one answer for that. God, it's gonna work out. I drop gems just for that. Yeah, talk to him. I got a podcast for that. Wanna talk